Now, of course, with the onset of COVID-19, the whole world focuses on health. And more importantly, we want to live well. This brings us to our very next topic for today, that is Bring on 100 Solutions to Help People Live Well for Longer. To discuss this topic in depth, we have Charles Ross, Asia Editor, The Economist, Dr. Siddharth Kachroo, Head of Medical Portfolio Management, Prudential Singapore, and Fahd, founder and CEO, ABAKA Holdings. Please welcome them.
Well, thanks to advances in technology and medical science, people are living longer lives, and some to the age of 100 and beyond. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bring On 100, a fresh take on the challenges and opportunities that come with living longer, brought to you by Prudential. My name is Yvonne Chan, and joining me in the studio today are Charles Ross, the editorial director of the Economist Intelligence Unit Asia. Charles is currently based in Singapore and has most recently managed the region's technology research practice. He has led a number of projects analyzing the implication of new technology trends for businesses, such as Industry 4.0, smart cities, big data, cloud computing, entrepreneurship, and the Internet of Things. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Siddharth Kachroo, the Medical Director and Head of Medical Portfolio Management at Prudential Singapore. Dr. Siddharth's role includes developing and implementing management initiatives related to medical business, as well as supporting cross-functional teams in developing long-term healthcare models for Prudential Singapore. A regular speaker at insurance forums, Dr. Siddharth has over 17 years' experience in the health insurance industry. And dialing in from Dubai, we have Mr. Fahd Rachidy, the founder and CEO of artificial financial intelligence platform ABAKA. Fahd is a serial entrepreneur, passionate about improving people's financial well-being and reinventing the way the financial industry works. Fahd was co-founder of scientificbeta.com, his previous venture, which is now the leading European pension platform for smart beta indices, with $40 billion assets under management. Welcome, gentlemen. In fact, we will come back to you in just a little bit, so hang tight. For now, though, gentlemen, in 2018, Prudential commissioned a study about longevity to help Singapore's residents better prepare to live longer and more successful lives. And so the EIU surveyed the population, whether they're ready for 100. And some of the very interesting research findings are now centered around conversations dubbed successful, ready for 100, right? All about successful aging. And I'd just like to kick us off with this discussion first by addressing the first question to Charles. What was the objective behind the Ready for 100 study, and what were some of the implications of a population that is living for longer?
Thank you, Yvonne. Good to be here. As you mentioned earlier, people are living longer lives around the world, and particularly here in Singapore as well. We've got one of the longest life expectancies because of the great healthcare system, because of the sort of things that we're doing here. And we've got to a point where many of us need to think about being ready to live to 100 years old. And that's actually quite a complicated thing to think about and manage in terms of your health and your wealth and lots of other aspects to it. And so we partnered with Prudential to really understand this topic in much more detail, so that we can provide some really actionable insights for Singaporeans to be able to better manage their lives to live to that 100 years old. So we started working with them, as you said, back in 2018. We've done it for a number of years with them now. A large piece of primary research based on lots of surveys of citizens, healthcare professionals, businesses as well, lots of interviews to really understand the topic and to create that dialogue, to create that actionable insights for people. And so we found a couple of really interesting things. One is this concept of a three-stage life is changing. So people are living more of a multi-stage life. So you're not going to just study and then work and then retire. You're going to intersperse that with lots of other things, whether you're stopping for professional breaks for study and upskilling your skills. You might stop for travel, you might stop for looking after family and other pieces. So a much more fluid way to living your life. And it's exciting, but it's also quite complicated to manage that type of life. And so we found that through our research that the people are needing to find new strategies to help manage that type of life. So part of that is managing their health as well. So if you're going to live longer, you want to be living healthier for longer as well. You don't want to be getting to sort of 65, 70, 80 and not have a healthy lifespan. So you need to focus on that as well, managing that very well. So it's not just your health, but it's also your finances as well. So you want to be living happier as well. And so be financially resilient to be able to live a longer life as well. So part of that is being able to focus and invest in yourself throughout the whole period of your life. So investing in your own skills, investing in your own health, investing in all those different aspects of yourself so that you can continue to add value to your career longer and further into your life, and also be healthier longer in your life.
Absolutely. I think, the common phrase these days, hashtag self-care, it's so important. It's just not about putting yourself at a spa, but also spending the time to invest in upskilling. But I think one of the top worries for many people when you talk about living longer is health, right? It is a big worry. What are some of the key findings related to health that came up in your research, Charles?
Yeah, it's a good point. That was one of the main things people were worried about, was being able to be ready for 100, with over half of people not being ready to live to 100. And one of the really big factors associated with that was the health cost part of this, because if you are going to live longer, you are going to have more health costs later in life. You're going to potentially be faced with multiple chronic diseases that you have to deal with later in life. And so that's a big concern for all of the people that we spoke to and surveyed for this. And so one of the things we found is that people need to take a more proactive, preventative approach to their health, to try and keep those health costs down later. They need to focus on their health from day one all the way through, and try and minimize those risks later on, and live healthier lives.
And Dr. Siddharth, let's bring you into the conversation too. What then do you think are the main health challenges of rising longevity? Because as we live longer, and Charles pointed out, our healthcare costs are going to be a lot more demanding.
Yeah, thanks, Yoon. I think it's a very valid question, and probably I just want to take a cue from what Charles just said. For us in Singapore, the great thing is that today the age expectancy of an average Singaporean is around 85 years, right? Which is the highest in the world, which is fantastic. Which really talks about the excellent healthcare system that we have in place here. However, this brings with itself its own set of challenges, and one of the key challenges is that if you look at data available in the public domain, people aged 65 and above would be living with 2 or more than 2 comorbidities, which actually means they could be having multiple chronic illnesses, right? So whilst on one hand we have people living longer, but on the other hand, they're facing bigger challenges, especially towards the age when they are older, and the challenges are in terms of how do they manage chronic disease, and that's a big question mark that we have today for Singaporeans as we move further. So the thing is that the expectation is that when you are aging or when you get old, you would be healthy and good health would just come your way. It doesn't happen that way. Yeah, you have to prepare for it. Good health is a consequence of the preparation you have done over a period of time as you are aging, and it's not just acquired overnight, if I may use that term. So that's something we really need to be sort of conscious about. And thirdly, coming back to that survey that you talked about, 70% of the doctors and healthcare workers that we spoke to, they were like, they had all the same feedback, and they agreed to the fact that people have to be responsible for their own healthcare needs. They need to be responsible for that. And the unfortunate part today is, when we spoke to people, they do understand the need to be healthy, but they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I was going to wait for that but.
So the fact is that, the expectation is when I grow old, okay, I'll take care of myself and I'll take care of my health so that, I don't have hassles when I'm aging, in terms of healthcare hassles. But as I said earlier, it has to be developed over a period of time. So whilst today youngsters understand the value of staying healthy, from our survey, we really didn't see that a lot of young people are doing something actively about it in order to develop that habit of staying healthy. So that's the paradox of it, if you may call it.
So it's all about starting these habits a lot earlier, taking charge of your health, not when you're in your 50s, but even when you're in teens or early 20s. What is Prudential doing then to address some of these challenges, Dr. Sid?
So what Prudential has done, and I probably want to take a step back and think of Prudential not only as an insurance company, but also as a wellness company going forward. And in this context, we really want to help our policyholders, we really help our community to sort of live a healthy life, as they age. And in this context, we launched a mobile healthcare app in April this year, and it was probably the right time because of the COVID situation and this circuit breaker. So what this app actually does is that it provides you an holistic access to healthcare needs of an individual. So there are multiple functionalities within this healthcare app that really sort of help you as an individual to take care of your health. And this works on, if I may use the term, the concept of prevent, protect, and postpone.
Prevent, protect, and postpone. Okay.
So that's what I love to call it from a healthcare perspective. So what are the key functionalities? So first of all, if you want to understand your health, you're healthy, but you still want to understand whether you have any risk factors.
Yeah.
And when you're growing old, would you be prone to some diseases? So there's a health check functionality. And there's a digital questionnaire which you fill and you answer, and based on your answers, it generates a 3D twin of yours. It's called your digital twin, with access to your organ systems, and you can zoom into the organ systems and understand which systems are at risk and why, and what needs to be done to manage those risks. So all in all, a very comprehensive tool. But let's say then from there, somebody has actually developed some symptoms, right? Instead of searching the Google for those symptoms, what they mean, talk to the specialist. So there's an AI chatbot run by doctors, data scientists at the back end. It really helps you in understanding your symptoms and what you should be doing. Do you need emergency medical care? Should you see a doctor? Do you need to visit some A&E, so on and so forth. And then the third thing is functionality. It's called access to a doctor 24/7, because now you have a symptom, and the chatbot tells you, look, you really need access to healthcare urgently. Just call up a doctor, 24/7 into 365, online video or audio consultation. And if the doctor prescribes medicines, they are delivered to you from Guardian Pharmacy to your home. If you need AMC, you get it online, you get an email. And then besides that, we have a medical content library there that really helps you in understanding lots of aspects related to the medical subjects and terminologies. We have developed some nice gaming tools there, like check your BMI, check your wrinkles, and what is your age depending on your face wrinkles.
I don't want to check my wrinkles, thank you. But it's useful. It's useful to have.
So it's a very, very interesting app to have, and complete coverage end to end for your healthcare needs.
Yeah, it does seem like a one-stop portal for health, right? With lots of super cool features, like you say. But rising costs, it means that it's even more important for people now to save more for a comfortable future. Charles, were the findings in the recent research also related to wealth and finance?
They were. In fact, the most recent research we did was fully related to saving for 100 and what are the things that people can do and need to do in order to make them financially self-sufficient through later in life. And we found some positive, but also some positive findings, but also some challenges as well. So Singaporeans generally are pretty good savers, really ardent savers. The problem is they're not saving enough to be able to live through to 100. So more needs to be done in terms of the types of strategies that they can deploy to do that. And we're seeing that in a few different ways, particularly with the younger demographic. So we did a lot of research around millennials, and we're seeing that they're diversifying their income stream. So it's not just about their primary income, they're also doing some other things to complement it. Things like the gig economy are good for these types of things. They may also be buying real estate and getting an income stream from that in terms of rental income. So these types of things they're doing, and that's really important to be able to create resilience into your income. They're also being a bit more proactive in terms of taking risks. So not just relying on things like CPF, they're also relying on things like investing in equities, where they might get a higher return to be able to help fund that living to 100 as well. All of these points are important because it's not just them they're thinking about. They also have some responsibility over looking after, and again, I'm talking about millennials, thinking about looking after their parents. They feel an obligation to help fund them and their children as well. But in return, they're not expecting too much support themselves. So there's sort of a lot of responsibility on their shoulders in terms of millennials. They're potentially that last sandwich generation, if you're familiar with that that term. But so on the whole, positive that they're saving, being proactive, but still some challenges to go to be able to get them through to that 100 years old.
Yeah, speaking of strategies for saving then, let's bring Fahd into the conversation. Fahd, how can technology then help people take better control of their financial future?
Yes, Ivana, it's a great question. And I think it's a great opportunity as well for the industry. And if you refer to what Dr. Siddharth just said, it's about combining in an ecosystem the wealth and health offering. And of course, on the wealth side, it's clear that we want to engage people to start early, taking care of their health, and being able to review and prepare their expectation for a much longer life than what they initially thought. And I think you can do the same with an end-to-end wealth offering, leveraging. We just mentioned that people are disengaged. You're not interested in saving for retirement because it's for tomorrow. What matters to you, it's what's happening now. And so creating that engagement is key. And in order to do that, you need to have a personalized experience. So the AI technology is very powerful to, on one hand, capture those customer data, which is going to enable that personalized experience. And there's a lot of research on behavioral science which shows that nudging people will help them feel empowered and take the right decision to prepare, because you need to prepare early. And on the other hand, having access to any answers you may have on your retirement, on your savings, on your investment, because it's a complex world. And to do that, you can deliver that help through an AI-powered chatbot. So the same as within health, it's basically providing you with advice, providing you with all the questions you may have. And that's critical for a company like Prudential to combine the wellness of one single platform, to be able to curate product and services in offering generic capabilities, and to better understand people, because you want to provide them with a connected experience online. You want to provide a personalized experience. You want to be making sure as well that when comes the time when they have to make a very important decision in their life, whether it is protecting their family, whether it is saving for the kids' education, they are also able to talk to a financial consultant. And the quality of the advisory provided by a human being is unmatched by the technology. Obviously, the technology help scale the reach and engage people, but it's really holding to the relationship that those advisors have, which empower the customer, which is a critical component of the engagement. So if I have to make an important decision, I probably want to talk to someone. So yes, I can get answer to all the questions I have through the AI chatbot, but I also want to talk to someone when I have to make that decision. So combining technology with the human service, I think, is the future of providing that wellness platform.
Absolutely, Fahd. I think these two go hand in hand. There are complements. You can't do with one without the other. Very quickly, Fahd, because we're almost out of time. There's so much we can do with AI-powered data. Where are the opportunities in this industry, Fahd?
Well, one of the biggest opportunities is, data is the fuel today in the world we're living for technology, and leveraging that data in a framework where you respect, obviously, customer data privacy and the ethics around it. It's curating that personalized experience. This is a great opportunity to holistically better understand customers and provide them with a personalized experience which is truly customer-centric, rather than relying, as was in the past, in a push product framework.
Yeah, it's not about pushing products, but really remaining customer-centric in all that we do. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Fahd. And also a huge thank you to Charles as well as Dr. Siddharth for sharing your insights with us today. Exciting times indeed with what we can do with AI-powered data. And I do believe that Pulse will be a game changer when it comes to true engagement that's powered by data and AI. And as our guests have said, the use of this powered data AI, as well as what the advisory that's given by our financial consultants, should go hand in hand. Well, to find out more about Pulse, you can scan this QR code that's on your screen right now. Till next time, thank you to our guests, Charles Ross, Dr. Siddharth Kachroo, as well as Fahd Rachidy, for joining us in the studio. My name is Yvonne Chan. Stay well and see you next time.